Hello and welcome back to Tesla News. We will look today into more updates regarding Giga Berlin, its expectation for Q4 as I mentioned, and a milestone that was achieved, new carriers from Shanghai towards Europe on their way, and the numbers for Q3. So let's start first of all with Giga Berlin. We can be very glad to have achieved 2,000 cars per week. Again, I think it is already higher right now, as I got the information already a week ago that this number was actually already achieved. So it could be already at 2,200, 2,300. They want to achieve 3,000 cars per week by the end of the month. If we look a bit more conservative, we would see around 35 to 40,000 cars in Q4. But again, this is a conservative number, and you see in the blue bars what kind of weekly production Tesla would have to achieve to get to 5,000 cars by the end of the year. This is just the conservative numbers. I do think that if there's no issues in the supply chain, if they have enough people to work in these two shifts that they currently have, I think that Tesla could achieve that much faster. And there's also a number that we could see happening in Q4, and that is actually 50,000 cars. This is again from internal sources coming, that 50K is the goal that Tesla has unofficially. So based on the numbers they talk to their own team. So if we look into what Tesla would have to achieve to make 50,000 cars per quarter, they would have to achieve around 5,874 cars by the end of the year. If we want to achieve a number of 50,000, it would be even a bit higher. It could be possible, but there should be no disturbance, no issues at all. Then Tesla can achieve the 50,000. That would be actually quite crazy because it would be ahead of the schedule when it comes to the 5,000 cars by the end of the year, which is the number that we currently have. I do believe that Tesla is able to actually achieve 50,000 out of Giga Berlin by the end of the year. This would be an astonishing achievement based on what we have expected in the beginning of the year. If we look into Q3, we see that 365,000 cars or close to 66,000 cars were produced, and we have deliveries of 343,000 cars. So the first time that we actually see a major difference of cars not being delivered. Again, the strategy of delivering cars has been changed, and that is what we see in Europe. We clearly see now one ship already on its way to Europe, which is arriving on the 13th of October. And we have two more carriers already on their way to Singapore, and that is on the 3rd of October. And this is where the discussions are going on online when it comes to Rob Mora or Sarah Merritt. We clearly see that a lot of people are talking about this strategy, this change that Tesla is doing here. And I like to see that because this big waves is something that logistical companies know about that, and they charge more prices, not competitive prices, higher prices. So for Tesla, it's much easier now to a bit ease out this entire waves that we have seen. So we can expect actually in January maybe more carriers moving towards Europe. So they just gonna stretch that a bit out, and that is not a bad sign. I like to see that. Again, we see the difference between production and deliveries. And we have always seen this kind of close, having no cars on the way to customers by the end of the quarter because of the financial issues. Tesla has lost a lot of money at the beginning of their journey, and so they had to try to get into the profit zone very fast. And this is because they were working so hard on doing it so efficiently. Now, Tesla is doing a lot of money, and so they are more flexible on working to have cars on transit, even though the stock market might not recognize that. But I think it's just a bit of time, and the people will buy back again new Tesla stocks and will be very, very angry they have sold their stock. If we look into the growth rate, it's 35%. Again, this is based on last quarter, so it's a bit fake here because we do know that the 35% is happening because Q2 was not as good as expected. Again, we have seen a major growth rate based on the numbers to last year. So that is actually the main part we have to look at. If we look into China, we see an increase of production. We see that Tesla has denied any price reduction. So people might think, okay, if there's no price reduction, we will buy now, because many people have stopped buying in China because of this entire economic situation, and as well, of course, because they expected a price reduction. We have as well the Glovis Supreme on its way to Europe, and there's actually a new carrier already on site today on the 3rd of October. So that is more than I ever expected, to be honest with you. I would have said, I was saying on Thursday, I would be glad to see one carrier on the weekend actually going towards carrying some cars. Now it's already two. That is more than I expected, more than I have seen ever on the first 2 days of a quarter. So I'm actually very bullish for Q3, for Q4 to be exact. I'm actually more than excited, and I'm actually very, very anxious to know how many carriers will finally actually go to Australia, to Japan, to Europe. This is going to be very interesting Q4, guys. So even if Tesla has in China not so much demand, they could still export a lot of them. But again, the delivery times increased again in China because, of course, now is export time. So again, this entire story about demand, I don't buy that yet. I think Tesla has more cars to sell and much more demand out there. When it comes to the Model S, we have gotten more details, especially when it comes to the December deliveries. So we can actually expect Model S and Model X to come, hopefully, by the end of the year. Again, keep in mind it could go into January, as Tesla might not do this kind of final push anymore. But I do expect the first Model S and X to be soon in Europe. We have to track what carrier will actually move to Europe, because that is going to get very interesting. So thank you very much that you have been back here on my channel. Please let me know if you would like to see more live streams on my channel. I have not seen so much traction yet. If you would like to have some more help here when it comes to buying a car, or as well when it comes to the delivery times, please let me know in the comment section. That would be very helpful. So thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate your time, and take care. Thank you very much.